I am here to tell you that the truth is far more devastating. We are talking about a total collapse of American military prestige in the Persian Gulf. For the first time in our history, a United States aircraft has not only been blasted out of the sky by Iranian forces, but the subsequent rescue mission, the Leave No Man Behind creed that every Marine and soldier lives by, was forced to fail. Our troops were forced to abandon their own because the Iranian military has achieved a level of technological dominance that Washington is desperate to hide from you. Stay with me because what I'm about to reveal regarding the state of our stealth technology and the secret weapons Tehran just unveiled changes everything you thought you knew about American safety. By the time this briefing ends, you will understand that we are no longer the apex predator in the Middle East. I am going to give you the coordinates, the weapon systems, and the transcript of the final communications that the Pentagon is trying to scrub from the internet. Do not turn away, because leaving this video now means going back to a world of comfortable lies, and the reality that is dropping in real time is much harsher than anything you've been told. To understand how we got to this point, we have to look at the context that led up to this disaster. For months, the Biden administration and the talking heads on cable news have been telling you that Iran is contained, that our carrier groups are deterring aggression. But in my time in military intelligence, I learned that deterrence is only as good as your ability to back it up. We've been playing a high-stakes game of chicken with a nation that has spent the last 30 years preparing for exactly this moment. While our leaders were focused on domestic political theater, Iran was perfecting Operation True Promise 5, a comprehensive denial of access strategy designed specifically to neutralize American air power. The central dramatic event unfolded just hours ago, and I want you to visualize this because it is a nightmare scenario. A high-value U.S. reconnaissance aircraft, I'm talking about a platform so sensitive its name is rarely spoken outside of skiffs, was patrolling the edge of Iranian airspace. Suddenly, the sky didn't just light up, it ignited. My sources on the ground and my contacts within the signal intelligence community describe a saturation of the electromagnetic spectrum. This wasn't a standard missile lock. This was the activation of the Bavar 373 Block 2 system integrated with a Russian-made Krasuka 4 electronic warfare suite. The pilot didn't even have time to eject before the cockpit electronics were fried by a high-power microwave burst, followed immediately by a kinetic intercept. The aircraft, a symbol of American multi-billion-dollar engineering, plummeted into the shark-infested waters of the Gulf in a streak of ultraviolet light and burning JP-8 fuel. But here is what is even more alarming, and this is the part that makes my blood boil as a former Marine. Within minutes, a combat search and rescue team was scrambled. They did exactly what Americans do. They ran toward the fire. Two CV-22 Ospreys, backed by a flight of F-35s, breached the horizon to recover our people. But as they approached the crash site, they hit a wall, not a physical wall, but a technological one. The Iranians didn't just fire missiles, they activated a local denial bubble. The F-35s, the planes you were told are invisible, showed up on Iranian radar like neon signs. The Ospreys reported that their navigation systems were being fed false GPS coordinates. They were literally flying in circles, their instruments telling them they were over land when they were actually over the sea. In real time, the commanders at CENTCOM had to make the most gut-wrenching decision in modern military history. They ordered the rescue teams to turn back. They abandoned our people because they realized that if those Ospreys stayed in that bubble for another 60 seconds, they would be the next ones at the bottom of the ocean. Stay with me, because the most shocking part of this is the code red message that was intercepted during that retreat. The Iranians didn't just force us to fail, they broadcasted the failure on open frequencies. They wanted the world to hear the sound of American engines turning away. They wanted the world to see that the Leave No Man Behind promise is now subject to Iranian permission. This is happening right now in real time, and while you are watching this, there are families who haven't been told that their loved ones are currently in Iranian custody or lost at sea because our government was too arrogant to admit our technology has been leapfrogged. Now, let's talk about the true cost that the mainstream media won't give you. Every time an F-35 takes off, It cost your tax dollars $40,000 per hour. The Bavar missile that took out our aircraft costs about $150,000. Do the math. We are being bled dry, but it's not just the money, it's the intelligence. Having spent years analyzing theater level conflicts, I can tell you that when a U.S. aircraft is shot down in that region, the Iranians don't just look for survivors. They look for the black boxes, the crypto keys, and the stealth coatings. Reports are coming in, unconfirmed by the Pentagon, but confirmed by my sources in Tehran, that the IRGC naval units reached the wreckage within 12 minutes. They have our technology. They are currently reverse engineering the very secrets that were supposed to keep us safe for the next 50 years. You feel the anger, don't you? You feel that patriotic pride being wounded, and you should. We were told we were the best. We were told our maximum pressure had Iran on its knees, but the truth is harsher than anything mainstream coverage will say. Leaving this video now means going back to an inferior stream of information that tells you we are still in control. But you know better. You can feel the geopolitical anxiety because you know that a failed rescue is the ultimate sign of a declining empire. When you can't protect your own, you can't protect anyone. But why is this happening right now? Why did Iran choose this moment to drop the hammer? Stay with me, because this is where the escalation laddering becomes a global catastrophe. This wasn't just about one plane. This was a diagnostic strike. Iran was testing the response time and the electronic signatures of our latest defense updates. And what did they find? They found that our stealth is a myth when faced with 80 missile waves of synchronized Fatah II hypersonic projectiles. They found that our regional bases, Al-Udeid, Al-Dhafra, are all within the kill zone. As we speak, there are reports of Wave 56 being fueled. This isn't speculation. This is the reality of theater-level conflict. The stakes keep climbing. If the U.S. retaliates, Iran has already signaled that the next targets aren't military, they are economic. Imagine the global economy collapsing in a single afternoon. If Iran decides to use their Hwasong-18 ICBMs, missiles they've recently acquired through their unholy alliance with North Korea, to target the oil loading terminals in Saudi Arabia and the UAE, the price of gas won't just go up, it will disappear. We are talking about $20, $30 a gallon. We are talking about the end of the American middle class. The true cost Trump was shown wasn't just about the military. It was about the fact that Iran can turn off the lights of the Western world with the push of a button. And the mainstream media is silent because they don't want to trigger a bank run. They don't want you to know that your 401k is tied to the survival of a fleet that just had to run away from a rescue mission. I've spent my life in military intelligence, and I've never seen a gap between official narrative and ground reality this wide. We are being fed a diet of false exclusivity where the government claims only they have the full picture. But the full picture is one of humiliation. Language like happening right now and this could drop at any hour isn't hyperbole. It's a warning. The next 24 hours are the most critical in the history of the Republic. We are waiting to see if the U.S. will double down on a losing hand, or if we will finally admit that the era of American unipolarity is dead. Keep watching, because I'm about to reveal the most shocking part of the intercepted communications, the specific threat Iran made against a U.S. carrier if we attempted a second rescue. But first, you need to understand the emotional oscillation of this moment. You should be angry at the leadership that put our pilots in this position. You should be grieved for the families of the missing, but you should also feel a sense of clarity. For the first time, you are seeing the truth that has been hidden behind layers of classification. You are seeing that the Iron Dome and the Aegis systems are not the invincible shields they were marketed to be. They are vulnerable, they are fallible, and our enemies know it. The stay with me direct address is more than just a technique. It's a command for your own survival. If you understand what happened today, you can prepare for what happens tomorrow. By the end of this, you will understand that the win being claimed by the politicians is a hollow mask. The true cost is our ability to project power. If we can't rescue a pilot 10 miles off the coast of Iran, how are we going to protect the global shipping lanes? How are we going to protect our allies in Tel Aviv and Taipei? Here is the hyper-specific detail the Pentagon is trying to bury. The aircraft was downed at exactly 0412 a.m. local time. The weapon used was a S-300 PMU-2 variant, but it was modified with a trans-atmospheric seeker that we didn't know Iran possessed. This seeker doesn't use standard radar, it uses quantum well infrared photodetectors. You can't hide from it. It doesn't matter how stealthy your plane is. It has a heat signature, and this missile can see it through a sandstorm. The intercept happened at an altitude of 65,000 feet. That is the ignorance gap our military is currently falling through. We didn't think they could reach that high with that much precision. We were wrong. And the failed rescue? The specific reason it failed was because the Iranian electronic warfare units deployed a digital radio frequency memory DRFM jammer that created 16 ghost targets for every one of our helicopters. Our pilots didn't know which target was the survivor and which was a trap. They were being lured into a kill box. The commander on the scene, having spent years analyzing theater-level conflicts, realized that the Iranians weren't just defending their airspace, they were hunting our rescuers. They wanted to turn a single shoot down into a Black Hawk Down scenario on a massive scale. Don't believe them. I've seen the telemetry. I've heard the voices of the men who were told to turn back. Their anger is my anger. Their frustration should be yours. We are being governed by people who are more interested in the optics of a win than the reality of a defeat. As we speak, a Russian task force is moving into the North Arabian Sea. They aren't there for exercises. They are there to provide technical assistance to the Iranians. This means that any U.S. retaliation will now have to factor in the presence of Russian S-400 and S-500 systems. We are being boxed in. The end of Israel scenario that people have been whispering about is no longer a fringe theory. It's a strategic objective that is being executed in real time. Why did the U.S. sensors fail to detect the launch? Who leaked the flight path of the reconnaissance aircraft? Was there a mole within the regional command? These are the questions the mainstream media will never answer because the answers lead back to a systemic failure at the highest levels of our government. Stay with me because the deferred payoff, the most alarming claim of all, is just ahead. You want to know why the rescue really failed? It wasn't just the jammers, it wasn't just the missiles. It was a direct code black threat delivered via the Swiss Channel, the secret diplomatic link between Washington and Tehran. While our Ospreys were in the air, the Iranian leadership told the White House that if the rescue teams did not turn around immediately, they would launch a preemptive strike on the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. They didn't just threaten it, they showed them they had a Fatah missile already locked on the carrier's coordinates. The White House blinked. They chose to let our troops fail. They chose to let a pilot be abandoned rather than risk the loss of a supercarrier. This is the true cost of the war with Iran. We are now being dictated to. We are no longer the ones setting the terms. The win that Trump and the others are talking about is a facade. The real story is that we have been checkmated in the Persian Gulf. We are looking at a total withdrawal of American influence from the region within the next 18 months. You are going to see a diplomatic surge that is nothing more than a managed retreat. You are going to see our allies making side deals with Tehran and Beijing because they can no longer rely on the American security umbrella. And you, the American citizen, are going to be left with the bill, a bill paid in higher prices, lower security, and a shattered sense of national honor. You feel the anxiety of the shoot-down, the partial relief that we didn't enter a full nuclear war today, and then the even greater anxiety of knowing that we are weaker than we were yesterday. This is how the doom scrolling of our national security works. But I'm not here to just give you anxiety. I'm here to give you the truth so you can stop being a victim of the narrative. Keep watching these updates. Don't trust the 24-hour news cycle. They are reading from a script provided by the same people who told the rescue teams to turn back. I will continue to monitor the Wave 55 and Wave 56 mobilizations. I will continue to listen to the deep source intelligence that is being ignored by the Pentagon. By the end of this week, the world will know the name of the aircraft and the name of the pilot we left behind. And when that happens, the world in shock headlines will finally catch up to the reality I'm giving you right now. Stay sharp, stay prepared. And remember, in a theater-level conflict, The first casualty is always the truth. I've just given it back to you. The Iranian military didn't just shoot down an aircraft, they shot down the myth of American invincibility. And for the troops who were forced to fail their own, the war has just become very, very personal. The cliffhanger isn't, will there be a war? The cliffhanger is, how much more are we going to lose before we admit we've already been defeated? Stay with me, because what comes next will change the map of the world forever. The true cost is just beginning to be paid, and the next installment is due any hour now. Keep your eyes on the Gulf and your heart ready for the truth that no one else has the courage to tell you. This is Scott Ritter, and we are just getting started.